Hey my glam girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. So today we've got a really luxurious foundation showdown. So we are comparing the Chanel Le Tint Cream Foundation to the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation. Now, pause the video real quick. Comment down in the comment section below, which side of my face do you think I'm wearing, Chanel or Chantecaille? Chantecaille or Chanel? Which side of my face do you think I'm wearing which foundation? Okay, so if you're not familiar with any of my foundation wear tests, we're gonna have both of these foundations on for a minimum of 8 hours. I'll show you what it looks like in my studio lighting, natural lighting, and flash photography. And then of course, share with you my thoughts at the end of the day. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I truly do appreciate it. And let's get right into this video. So first, we're starting out with the Chanel. This is the Sublimage Le Tint Ultimate Radiant Generating Cream Foundation. This does retail for $135 and it does come in 18 shades. I am a Chanel foundation junkie. I think I have about every foundation that they have created, and I typically wear shade either BD70 or BD91. And this particular foundation, I did go for 91 because it was just a tad, like a smidge too cool around my jawline. So I feel like shade 91 gave me an overall better match, especially for these upcoming warmer months. This is an exquisite lightweight foundation with the ultimate sensorial touch. The creamy texture offers medium coverage for a glowing, healthy, and luminous look. We do get 1 fluid ounce in this product, or 30 milliliters of product. And so it's gonna harness the intense power of vanilla planifolia. This is the signature ingredient in Sublimage, along with luminosity of diamond powder and the comfort of plant-based ingredients to leave the complexion looking radiant. And it's gonna revitalize the skin and allow for it to appear optimally hydrated. It also does come with a brush in the packaging, and I have used the brush before. As you can see, it's a little dirty. I think this brush is pretty decent. It did blend out my foundation pretty well, and if I was in a pinch, I would use it again, but this is not gonna be my go-to applicator. I didn't use it today, obviously, for the application of the foundation. But I do think it's pretty okay, it's pretty decent. It's not, you know, a waste of a tool. And then also in the packaging, you get a little spatula where you can scoop out the cream foundation. Since I'm the only one using it, I just go in with my finger and then apply it to the face and blend that way. So this foundation is so luxurious. First of all, let's look at the packaging. It's definitely a weighted glass container that houses the cream foundation. So in terms of luxury, like, I feel like we're getting luxury all the way around. Even the box that it comes in, it's just a nice gold packaging. Like I showed you all, we get a brush and we also get a spatula. So I think for $135, we are definitely getting a luxurious presentation of the foundation as well. It does come with a little cap, which I would recommend keeping so that you can keep the product, I would say, from drying out. I don't think this is gonna go hard pan, but I do think this helps to not only keep the product from drying out, but also just to keep things less messy. Here is an up close look at the product. And this formula is creamy, creamy, creamy. I would definitely say it feels kind of like butter. Like, not necessarily the greasiness of butter, but like the soft texture of butter. That's what I feel like this feels like. Just showing you a swatch against my arm. Please know that this side of my arm is definitely lighter than my face, but this just gives you an up close view of the texture. And I think the foundation applied beautifully into the skin. I went in with my puff, Danessa Myricks Beauty Puff. This blends in any product beautifully. And I just feel like when pressed into the skin, this particular foundation just sinks right on in. And it's got, it does have a bit of a smell. It's not the typical Chanel foundation smell. Kind of smells more like vanilla, I would say. But the smell definitely does not linger on the skin. I honestly forgot that there was a smell to it, except for like smelling it up close. And I just think it's a really beautiful looking foundation. In terms of like my pores and things like that, because I didn't go in with like any type of pore filling primer, I just applied my Yummy Glow Serum before applying the foundations on my face. And I do feel like it actually does kind of, I would say, tone down the pores a bit. Nothing that's like overly concealing, but I do feel like the foundation, you know, does kind of like slightly tone them down. But I really do feel the skin looks healthy, luminous, radiant, not greasy or anything like that. Now moving on to the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation. This does retail for $89. It comes in 12 shades and I do wear the shade Banana in this particular foundation. I also have the shade Wheat, which I will actually use Wheat to brighten up my T-zone and use as an under eye concealer as well. And I think it actually works really well for that too. So this is an oil-free, ultra lightweight foundation with a refreshing texture. The oil-free gel allows for adjustable coverage due to the buildable formula, and it's ideal for everyday and evening wear. It has light reflecting pigments within it, and it's going to reduce and mask the appearance of imperfections, offering a flawless finish. The formula contains 60% water and is infused with aloe leaf and chamomile extract, working to moisturize skin whilst also providing coverage. So this particular foundation also, it definitely has a lighter feel to it than the Chanel. Like the Chanel definitely is more of a cream foundation, whereas this Chantecaille one feels like it does have a water base. When I applied the Chantecaille, I did apply a second layer just right over this area so that the coverage could be a little more the same. And I do feel like coverage wise, I was able to build up this coverage to get similar to the coverage of the Chanel. But I feel like we do have a little bit more coverage with Chanel compared to Chantecaille. And I would say that is because Chantecaille does have that water-based consistency to it, so it's just thinner in its formulation. Now, when I say thinner, obviously, you know, it's not running down my hand, but as you can see, and I'm hoping you can see that, I feel like the Chanel looks a little thinner. I mean, the Chantecaille looks a little thinner than the Chanel does. Obviously, we see a difference in shade, and the Chantecaille foundation does, shade-wise, match me a little bit better, but the Chanel blends really well into the skin, so I don't think there's like stark difference between the two foundations on the face side by side, especially after like putting everything on. I don't think you can see too much of a difference between the face. Chantecaille one is bomb.com. Now, I've had Chantecaille a lot longer than I've had the Chanel. I actually just recently picked up the Chanel foundation about 2 weeks ago. I've been wearing the Chantecaille foundation for like 3 years now, and it is beautiful. It's an award-winning foundation for a reason, and it's just one of those foundations that you can literally throw on and be out the door. Or like it said, you can dress it up a little bit for work, like I'm about to go to work myself. You can wear it in the evening, especially if you're someone who likes a more lighter weight, kind of lighter, medium coverage foundation, but that just makes the face look so flawless, so put together, so effortless. Chantecaille wins in that category, like just across the board. And so looking at this foundation on the face, I do feel like this, just the same with the Chanel, like the pores are definitely like kind of reduced, not overly concealed, but reduced. I feel like the complexion looks really nice and smooth. It glides over texture very easily, very smoothly. And this side of the face also has that like luminous, radiant look to it. And just the skin looks healthy. It looks very much like skin, but better. So looking at both of them side by side, like I'm gonna tell you straight up, this is gonna be a tough one because both of these foundations are amazing. I recommend both of them, just spoiler alert. Both of them are beautiful. Now, we will discuss like pros and cons at the end of the day, so stay tuned for all of that. But just straight on, both of these are gorgeous. I'm gonna come in close so we can see what they look like up close. So we've got Chanel over here, and then Chantecaille. I do have a nice little smile line on this side of the face, and this foundation by Chantecaille does not settle or like overly emphasize my smile line here. I have like a couple of smile lines right along here on this side of the face, and so far the Chanel foundation is not gathering or overly emphasizing those smile lines. So I'm gonna go about my day wear these foundations for at least 8 hours, and then we will come back and discuss the results. So stay tuned for that. Okay guys, we are back. It is the end of the day, and I've had both of these foundations on for over 15 hours, okay? Today was not supposed to go this long, but a few things transpired. Number one, I got my hair done. I got in tape-ins, you like? And that appointment went over longer than I expected. And then we took the girls to see The Little Mermaid. And so that led us to today, right now. But you'll actually get to see what these foundations look like under some serious pressure, some very long hours. So I'm gonna come in close and we're gonna see what everything is looking like. So remember, we have Chanel on this side of the face and Chantecaille on this side of the face. Alrighty, so first off, I'm gonna call out the things that are not the foundation's fault. Foundation wore away on my chin. Part of that was due to Riley. The other part was when I was getting my hair done, the beautician was doing a steam treatment on my head and I was trying to talk to her, and so this part of my jawline was rubbing against the sink bowl. So I know foundation wore away like right along this side of my face. So if you do see any gaps of foundation, don't, you know, hold that against Chanel, because I was trying to talk and look at her and not lift my head up. The foundations have worn away on my nose as well. And I feel like for the most part, like you can still see the foundations, but you can tell like they have worn away some. However, though, you can still see my blush. You can still see some of my bronzer. So the foundations are still there, because typically if foundation has, you know, really worn away, you don't see whatever's on top. So like I would say like around here and my forehead, we do still see the foundations. And I've been trying to figure out which side I like best, like, you know, despite the long day. And I think I've come to a decision. So before I get to that, some things that I wanted to call out that I noticed between the two. The Chanel foundation does have more coverage. So even though Chantecaille says that the formula is buildable, which it is buildable, I feel like with Chanel, we can get a really good solid medium coverage. I would say solid medium. We're not like going all the way to medium full or full coverage, but I do think we get a little bit more coverage from the Sublimage foundation. And the reason being is that it's a cream foundation. So cream foundations are gonna have a little bit more coverage. The formula is a little bit more thick. And so I would expect more coverage from Chanel. Whereas Chantecaille, it has a more lighter type of coverage, lighter type of feel. 60% of the formula is water. So this particular foundation is not going to give us as much coverage. So I think the coverage for Chantecaille is gonna give us like light medium, medium, not like strong medium like Chanel. Other differences is that I do feel like radiance wise, I was trying to figure this out, and you guys tell me, but I think I have more radiance. Like if you're looking right around here where my natural oils have come through, I think we see a little bit more radiance on the Chantecaille side than we do see on the Chanel side. Now we see radiance on both sides, but I think if I am looking, I think we just see a little bit more radiance on the Chanel side, Chantecaille side versus Chanel. And you guys comment below what you think, especially if you think something different. And then in terms of like, you know, like how the skin is looking, I feel like both sides of my face look really pretty. Like I'm looking at Chantecaille in my mirror behind the camera and I'm like, that looks really nice. I'm looking at Chanel and I'm like, Chanel looks nice too. However, if I had to choose a side based on differences of price, because we've got $89 on this side, $135 on this side. Now granted, we do get a brush, but still, it's about a high-end foundation difference. So that's a price difference of $40. So with it being a price difference of $40, with the Chantecaille, we're getting 12 foundation shades. Chanel, we're getting, I think it was what, 22? I'll put the numbers up here if my numbers are incorrect. Oh, one last thing I want to say about Chantecaille. Although there are 12 shades, because the coverage is not severely intense, these shades are said to be a little bit more flexible. So if you're around my shade, Banana would probably work for you if you are like my shade twin, maybe like a shade deeper. okay? So the shades are supposed to be flexible. So I think on Chantecaille's website, correct me if I'm wrong, they've got 12 shades, but because of their flexibility, we can get about 24 shades from the 12 that they have. So with that being said, if I had to choose a side based on what I like in terms of how they look on my face, I would go for Chantecaille. And the reason why I would go for Chantecaille is when I'm looking at my face side to side, I just think Chantecaille looks a little bit better, especially after this long day. I think Chanel, after about like that 10-hour mark, because I was trying to film myself and it was around the 11-hour mark, I was like, let me just try to capture some footage. And if the footage is not too distorted, I might throw it in here so you can kind of see, but it's really quick. I'm in the car, Riley's in the background. But if it doesn't look too crazy, I might just throw it in here so you can see what the foundations look like around the 11.5-hour mark. And I think at that point, Chanel was kind of like, all right, y'all, I've given you a lot. I'm about to, you know, call it a night. So I do think both foundations are very long wearing. But I think the Chantecaille gives us just a little bit more of that flawless look, you know, past a normal 8-hour day. With the Chanel, I would still recommend the Chanel because I think it's really beautiful. We do get more shades in the Chanel cream foundation, but it is $135. So if you're, you know, let's say you were torn between the two, and if you can get a shade in Chantecaille, I would go for the Chantecaille. I think it just lasts a little bit longer than the Chanel, and the Chantecaille, because it's oil free, it actually holds up really great under heat. So we're going into these warmer months. This would be a foundation that you could travel with to a warm climate, or even if you live in a warm climate, Chantecaille is going to last all day because it's oil free and it's got that gel formula. Who was it? Adiola. I will try to link her Instagram reels if I can remember it, or it was on TikTok, but she was like bulletproof, like hot heat weather foundations. She recommended the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation, but she put a little twist on it. She would like mix it with Estee Lauder Double Wear, and I was like, oh, I don't even have to try that to know that's a combination made in heaven that's gonna last you for like 48 hours. So this is going to be amazing going into these warmer months. I'm not saying I wouldn't wear the Chanel one in these warmer months, but if I knew I was gonna be gone all day and I'm gonna be out in the heat, I wouldn't reach for the Chanel, just because I don't know if it would last as long, especially being that it is a cream foundation. But this would be one that I would wear, like if it's not gonna be an overly hot day. I would wear this obviously in the winter, fall time, springtime. It is a really nice hydrating formula, and I do feel like my skin feels moisturized, like my skin doesn't feel dry or anything like that. So I think it's a beautiful foundation. I'm so glad that I have it. Chanel foundations have never failed me, so I expected really great things from this, but you know, I like to be honest when it comes to a showdown, and Chantecaille wins it for me. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think? Which side do you think looks better after over 15 hours of wear? Chanel, Chantecaille, neither? Leave it all down in the comment section below. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you haven't yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad, because we'd love to have you. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye guys.